a lot of signings. Hopefully it's the beginning of a lot of action. It typically isn't that way ever since the world of social media and every single president of baseball ops and general manager, ever since they all got smartphones and the world in baseball moves at the speed of light now. This type of week doesn't mean as much as it used to back in the day when you had to have face-to-face meetings in owners' suites and those types of things. But to your point, Clint, last year at this time, you'll remember Blake Snell was signed, I believe, on November 30th. So that was yesterday of 2024. The Dodgers were already said to have been all in, or at least a lot of the way in, on Roki Sasaki. Mm-hmm. There were certainly Teoscar Hernandez return rumors at this time last year. They needed stuff last year, not so much this year. And again, to your point, that's a good thing, right? It's nice that we don't have so many holes to fill. And right now, I feel like the Dodgers just need some ancillary pieces. But it's also kind of like, if we're staying pat, it's kind of a bit of a boring offseason. And then you're hoping that everybody comes into spring training healthy and looks great and can build upon, yet again, another World Series championship next year.
Yeah, I mean, again, this roster is very good. They can go out there right now and compete for a World Series, probably beat most, if not all, of the teams in the league, even the Rockies. I don't know why I felt like attacking the Rockies there, but yeah, Dodgers are in an incredibly good spot. Other teams are making moves, signing some players that the Dodgers had some interest in, as we've heard this offseason. Of course, we know, Riz, the team is said to be looking for right-handed leverage relievers. One of the names off the list, a guy we've talked a little bit about, Ryan Helsley, signs with the Baltimore Orioles. They're out there making some moves. Good on them. They are also very, very bad in 2025, coming off of a couple of pretty decent seasons. But I think it was a 2-year, like $28 million deal. This follows, Raisel Iglesias, another guy the Dodgers were said to have been linked to. I don't know about you. Helsley was not at the top of my list of guys to sign, but he was, of all of the names that throw right-handed and have pitched in high leverage situations, he was one of them. He was just a name.
He was a name. You're right. He does have one of those. It was funny to me because I remember watching it on Cardinal territory, and I think Lance Lynn was on foul territory one day that Scott Braun was off when I was hosting, and Ryan Helsley made it very apparent that he thought St. Louis was going to reach back out to him, which I thought the honesty was interesting for a player to actually say, like, oh, yeah, I expect that team to contact me. But no, it's the Orioles, and good for them. The Orioles need a lot of improvement, though. I believe the Orioles need more starting pitching than they do a right-handed, leverage arm. But good for Helsley. And Raisel Iglesias off the board, went back to Atlanta. Alex Anthopoulos said that was the plan all along. He wasn't traded at the deadline, so they just extended him. And here you have it. So if you look at the closer market, which you and I have talked about at length on this show and on other shows, I think the closer market is the most interesting one because there's the most talent, I think, when you're looking at that particular position. To me, it was like the shortstop market a few years back when there was a lot of really quality shortstops in the free agent pool. So that being said, the one at the top of the list, and that's kind of depending upon how you feel about it. And again, you guys get your thoughts in the chat about how you feel. Mark Feinsand, who writes for MLB.com, works for a lot of other outlets as well, listed the Dodgers as a top landing spot for Edwin Diaz. And I actually had a texting conversation today with Feinsand. I wanted to see if he could come on the show on Wednesday to talk more about this. And he's not able to this week, but he was saying, the same thing we were saying. It's been so quiet. And he joked, he's like, hopefully everybody signs this upcoming week, which we know that's not going to happen, but that would be a lot of fun. And I do think that the free agency period should have a deadline, only for our sake, not for the players. I know, not for the players, but for us, just to have something to talk about. That would be fun. But is Diaz, Clint, the perfect free agent match for the Dodgers as Mark believes him to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an intriguing question. We know, I know you really want this team to land a closer type. There's a couple of big names, as you mentioned. There are no better closers, more accomplished closers on the free agent market than Edwin Diaz. Personally, I don't think they need someone of the ilk of Edwin Diaz. However, we were just having a conversation a little bit ago in my my All Dodgers Discord about the idea of it's not our money, it's not my money. Even if you're paying this dude $20 million a year for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
It would only be 15 though, because ESPN hasn't projected for a 4-year.
I think that's low.
I say only 15. Like 15 is nothing.
I think that's low. Yeah.
15 million a year for a closer of that caliber. If he was the Edwin Diaz of 2 years ago, Tommy Trumpet Edwin Diaz, I would take that.
I mean, and we'll get to the numbers in a little bit, but to its core, if the Dodgers are in on Edwin Diaz, listen, I'm not going to be upset about it. Anthony DeComo, who also covers the Mets for MLB.com, this fella here, I don't know what he does, but somebody turned me on to this tweet, which led me to Reddit Ask Me Anything, Reddit AMA that DeComo did this morning, saying that in his opinion, he'd have to consider the Dodgers a favorite to land Edwin Diaz, if for no other reason that they are the Dodgers. So that's kind of funny to throw that in there. But his expectation is that David Stearns, the GM, president of baseball operations for the New York Mets, doesn't really like to spend on relievers. Then again, neither do the Dodgers like to spend a bunch of money on the relievers. It was kind of shocking to me last year with that Tanner Scott deal. I can see them maybe being a little more in on it this year in an Edwin Diaz deal. But we've also talked a lot about Devin Williams, and those are kind of the two names that are at the top of the free agent closer righty reliever market. And that's the question I have for you, for the chat as well. It's, do you go with Edwin Diaz and you kind of have maybe more of a rock solid option, because he's been great outside of that knee injury and surgery and missing the 2023 season. He has been great. As for Devin Williams, obviously last year, bit of a struggle in New York, to say the least. Asked our friend Derek Lewandowski over in Pinstripe Territory for his thoughts on Devin Williams. And then, he also missed a lot of time last season in 2024 with a back injury. Numbers wise, put this together real quick. I mean, the numbers, honestly, somewhat comparable.
They're very comparable.
Like, they're both very good pitchers. That's the important thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly Devin Williams 2025 was nothing to write home about. I mean, Edwin Diaz certainly his was, but I'd love to see the Edwin Diaz, 2025, 2022 Edwin Diaz before he got hurt in the WBC, obviously in celebration. But I wouldn't be upset with either of them. And to be clear, we're not talking about Edwin Diaz coming to the Dodgers, guys, for $15 million. We're saying per year. I'm not saying $15 million total. I'm talking about an AAV of $15 million per year. I saw somebody in the chat that said there's no way he goes for $15 million. Avi.
Yeah, there was the ESPN report or projection of 4 years and 60. I think it's going to be more than that personally, because he opted out of the final 2 years of a 5-year $102 million deal, which means he left 20 and change on the table. I think he's going to try to surpass that.